Welcome to a Calvinian architecture. This is the first octave, the second chapter, Isidora, and this is the second verse. Each chapter is made up of three parts, three verses. The first is my translation of one of Italo Calvino's Invisible Cities, and then there are two other verses, each of which is a story written by me, either about a house I wanted to live in or buy somewhere in the world, and then of a journey I've made somewhere in the world. This is first octave, second chapter, Isidora, second verse. I read again the story I wrote exactly 20 years ago when they first moved down there, only after I promised I would go to see them every Sunday. Well, I didn't go for a long time, not like now. The story is about him asking me to go fishing, to walk with him down to the Dramana Pier early one orange dawn, with tackle and bait and rods, and just fish. He didn't ask me quite in this way, but that's how I now imagine it, though it never happened. The man in the story hopes that it might. In that story, there's all the hope in the world that it might happen. I write about fennel, how you couldn't find it down there in those days, and how I would bring it down from Melbourne and she would cook it in parmesan, filling the kitchen with the grassy fragrance of all those low-lying fields stretching right to the Alps from the silent breadth of the River Po. What most shocks me, though, is how he expressed the hope I would join him in that simplest of simple terms, simply to have time with his son. How he allowed himself to actually say it. Did I ever promise I would fish with him? I can't remember ever doing that, but suddenly on this winter night, I want to go to a 7-Eleven and buy tackle and bait and rods, if they sell them there, that is, and then drive down to Dramana and knock on the door and say, "Here I am. Let's go." The flathead are biting at the end of the pier. Can't you hear them? Can't you hear them? But all I can do is once more turn the page to blank, then get up and move very close to the man in the framed photograph, the one who used to look like me. This is verse number 3 of Isidora. Zen, 3 bells, 1 fan, painting covered by glass to make it invisible, patterned glass. The notes in the little scrap of paper inside the story of Pythagoras on page 7 say just that. I must have written them in 71 because that's when I got the book. I used to dream of living in the house on page 70. A little stone house, square, with a pitch roof, 2 chairs in front of an open window. Behind it, there's an indiscriminate architecture. The photo has faded, but you can still see the olive tree in front, shading both chairs. An old man sits in one of them, looking directly at the camera, unsmilingly. He has a wine glass in his hand. There's a particular cloud in the right-hand corner of the photo. I have always wondered, and I don't know why, I've always wondered where that cloud is. Not is exactly, but maybe what it is. And I know, don't worry, I do know that it can't exist any longer. In fact, could not have continued to exist even 10 minutes after the photo was taken. But something in it makes me wonder that. And it's connected to the old man somehow. Somehow it is to the way he holds up the glass towards the camera. Now that's something I didn't realize until this minute. He's holding up the glass towards the camera. I never quite saw that before or understood it as I understand it now. So that's how it's connected. Now I see it. The glass, the unsmile, the cloud, it's passing. Don't you see it? He's turning back on himself, raising the glass to himself, to the photographer self, to the old men sitting on the wall, this side of the camera, to the man he eventually will be, and is even now already sitting amongst them. I grip the glass tighter and slowly lift it, looking at the strange new orange light filtering through it. Until tomorrow when we meet in Dorothea, the 3rd chapter, 1st octave. The keynote is Do and the colour is red. Until tomorrow.